Hi guys. Well, what I thought I'd do tonight is, this afternoon, almost this evening. It's 5:10, and it's the 20th, I think, Sunday, the 20th of February. That's right, it is February. Yeah, I'm a bit vague because we had the big storm come in the other day, and since then it hasn't stopped. I don't know whether you can hear it. There you go. The wind is blowing hooly again. They reckon 35 mile an hour. Me and the flying squirrel from next door, she came round for a hot chocolate earlier on to see if I was okay, and a bit of a chat. We decided it was more like 60, 65 mile an hour, which isn't unusual for this time of year on this mooring. So yeah, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do the pros and cons to live aboard or not to live aboard. That is the question. Well, if you like being rolled around all over the place and thrown out your bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, then it's fine. I've had about, I think last night I got 4 hours. When we had the storm, I think I probably got 2 to 3 hours. And of course, sometimes you don't go to bed when you know there's a bad storm coming. You stay up because you want to protect your boat. It was just that we were on low water when the storm started to hit, so I figured that the boat would be okay on low water. I'd get up when the tide started to climb. That's what I did. So the pros, well, if you've watched a video of me going around a Torquay, lovely sunny day, oh fantastic, flat seas, well almost flat, dolphins, all sorts of things going on, you know, moored up in a nice part of Devon, Torquay harbour, fish and chips, beer, and then back to Gampton Creek again. And then there was another video I did, the Bond girls aboard Sovereign Bay, this boat. Yeah, we went out again, dolphin spotting, lovely day, lovely afternoon, came back, put her alongside, oh fantastic. And to be honest, the summers are brilliant. You know, you can go up the river and explore, drop the anchor. It's free to do that on the River Dart. And me and the crew, there's usually a few other boats do it. We set little fires on the beaches and cook fish that Andy's caught, 'cause he's quite a good angler. And we have a great old time drinking beer and then back to the boats and then head home probably the next day. I've cruised round to Plymouth and Salcombe and all over the place. Fantastic. That's in the summer. And also in the summer we still get a few of these blows come through as well for no apparent reason. I don't know whether that's global warming or what, but I don't remember back in the day it being that bad. I've been doing this a long time now. So the cons, well, if you're living aboard a boat you need an address, and pretty much all the marinas round these parts won't allow liveaboards, and there's a reason for that. The ones in the harbour, it's harbour bylaw that you can't live on your boat. So if you keep your head down and don't tell them, they know what you're doing. But you know, my usual answer to them, if they said do you live aboard, my answer would have been, back in the day, I spend a lot of time on my boat, and of course I've always had somebody to give me an address until recently. Now that comes with a lot of problems, because if you decide you want to move on somewhere, you have to find somewhere else that will allow you to live on the boat. A lot of places don't like that, you know. So where I am now is fine, they don't mind, but of course it's a bit stuck in the 50s. For instance, let me show you this. I don't know whether you can see, there is a blue boat out in the distance there behind the green one, which is Jenny's. That sunk last night. Now, this boatyard it used to be cheap. I wouldn't really class it as being cheap anymore, but it was this afternoon they came down on low water just to have a chat with the guy, as far as I could tell, and they left. The guy was bailing it out with a bucket. Well, most of the marinas I've been in would have been down straight away with a pump and pumped it out. It probably wouldn't have sunk, to be honest, but there you go. So that's another con. If you're going to go somewhere cheap, you have to be accountable to yourself, you know. We all look after each other on this mooring, and so far it's worked out well with the liveaboards. We haven't had any damage apart from water horse, which it's pretty superficial. We can fix that. pretty easily. So there's another con. Then there's the price of things, you know. Moorings aren't cheap. This one I'm on now costs me about £3 a year, I think, something like that, but then you've got to put the VAT into that. It's £6 down the river a year, or £7,000 in Torquay. For this boat, it's 38 foot. With the davits and the dinghy on the back, we're up to 40 something. 41 I think they charged me for, actually. So you have to consider that. And then there's the servicing costs. You know, I was in Kefalonia for 3 months. When I came back, I spent 150 quid on a new pump to pump the showers out because that had stopped working. I've got to now service the boat before I go back to Kefalonia, and it will have to be lifted to have its anodes. Something that really I would recommend as a marine engineer you did every year, or at the most every 2 years. But of course, cobbler in his shoes. It's pushing 3 years now, this boat. So we'll see how well it's done. But we are in brackish water here, and there wasn't a lot of electricity when we first moved there. So hopefully the electrolysis hasn't damaged anything as yet. But yeah, the boat will be coming out. The other con is that this morning I wanted to go and do some work. I've got a varnish job on, as you probably know if you've been watching the videos. I couldn't get off the boat. It had been blown off the mooring, and the wind was so strong that I couldn't pull the thing back to the pontoon to get off. And if I had done that, there's a good chance that I'd have struggled to get back on board, because it is quite windy, as you can see, and the boat is moving around quite a lot. So that's something else to consider. When the boat did settle on the mud as the tide went out, I was quite a way off the moorings and at 7 degrees. Doesn't sound a lot, but you try cooking a breakfast or making a cup of tea even at 7 degrees, and nothing seems to work properly. The boat isn't designed to stay like that. It's designed to roll around, but it's not designed to stay like that. So all my bilge pumps started firing up because the floats were up in the air. The slop tank for the showers, I've had to switch that off for the moment. Yeah, it can be hard work living on a boat. So I've been doing this now for 20 odd years, and I've come to the conclusion that Kefalonia is where I'm going to end up, eventually retired. So I'm going to put Sovereign Bay on the market. I should probably do that over the next few weeks. It's going to go over to MDL's yard the end of March, be lifted, pressure washed off. I shall anti-foul it and put new anodes on and give it a good check out underneath. Although there shouldn't be too much. It's only been 3 years since I changed all the seacocks, all the skin fittings were done. So it should be alright. It's quite a healthy boat. I've done quite a lot of work. If you follow some of the videos, you'll have seen I rebuilt one of the gearboxes, completely re-clutched it. I put a new slop tank on, I changed all the water piping. But, you know, I've been doing it a long time. I'm 63 this year, and I've decided, yes, I know, girls, I don't look 63. Form an orderly queue. But, yeah, I've just decided that maybe I ought to concentrate on the Greek project. I've got a nice flat that I rent out there, which is maintenance free for me. Maybe I should just move out to that. And then maybe look at getting something like this out in Greece. Because it's quite cheap for me to do that out there, and I could leave the boat on the hard most of the winter, and it'll be fine. Chuck it in the summer and have a good old time. We'll see. See what you think. Comments below. But in the meantime, yeah, if you were thinking of living on a boat and how wonderful it would be, you have to consider all the conditions that you will have to put up with. As you can see, the Squirrel's boat is heeling over at about 3 or 4 degrees. That's the wind blowing the mast. That's something that happens with sailboats. Sovereign Bay is even bouncing around a little bit, and she doesn't normally move that much. I don't know whether the camera's picking that up or not. Now let's see if I can show you how far off the mooring would be. No, you can't really see it. I'm a good few feet off the mooring anyway. So yeah, there's a lot to consider there. It can be a good way of life, and don't get me wrong, I have no complaints. Like I said, I've been doing this now 20 years or more, and before that I lived on a narrowboat in the Midlands for quite a while before I got married. And that comes with its own set of problems as well. Maybe I'll discuss that another day. Although that world has changed a lot since I last did that. My sister's still got a boat. Yeah, it's complicated. So my advice would be, if you find a boat that you like, and there's a lot to consider there. I always chose generally motorboats because you get a lot more accommodation. They tend to be much more friendly towards a liveaboard. Sailboats are great, and people say that you get the travelling for free. Well, you don't actually, because you have to look after the rigging. And if you don't, there's all sorts of catastrophes can happen there. So if you're buying a sailboat, consider the rigging. That can be very expensive, more expensive than having me come and fix your engine. Let's put it that way. And sailboats don't tend to have brilliant accommodation, in my view. You have to get a very big one to get the sort of accommodation I've got here. I mean, I've got 2 showers. There is a video further back that I did about this boat, so I won't bore you with that now. If you go down my videos, you'll see what this is like inside. So first of all, you've got to choose your boat. Length matters, because size matters, guys. Because obviously the more feet you've got, well, more meterage you have, because they measure it in meters these days, the more money you're going to pay, and it is very expensive, let me tell you. 38 foot's probably a sweet spot. You get a lot of accommodation usually for that. Quite a capable sea boat if you pick the right make. I prefer princesses of a certain age. They seem to suit the way I travel. So they're not too expensive to moor up, and you usually can find a marina that will accommodate you. Once you go bigger than 38 to 40 foot, then you start to struggle with moorings. You're into bigger boats then, and some marinas won't be able to accommodate you in the summer. Of course, the smaller the boat you've got, the cheaper it is. Cheaper to run, cheaper to live on, cheaper to pay for. But can you live on something that small? I've seen quite a few relationships break up because of small boats. My last boat saw off an ex-wife and 3 girlfriends, so there you go. So yeah, you have to. Consider all your options when you're buying a boat. That would be my advice. Have a good look round to see what suits you, and then do your research as to what sort of, how capable they are for the job that you're going to task them with. Like I say, I always favoured princesses and maybe moonrakers, although moonrakers probably the accommodation isn't quite as good, but they do have an after cabin. So the reason I wanted that sort of accommodation was when you've got people staying with you, it's nice to have them separate from you. So I mean, people can come and stay here, for instance. They've got their own shower. They can get up in the morning, make themselves a cup of tea. They don't have to bother me. I'm in the bow. So you have to consider all that. Then once you've considered that, then you've got to find somewhere to put it. Don't buy the boat until you've found a mooring, because I'm telling you now, it's very difficult nowadays finding a mooring in the south of the UK. I'm not sure about the north. I think that's a little easier. But if you're in the south, I can tell you it's quite difficult now finding moorings. Although you will find a winter mooring, but during the summer it's quite difficult. So if you're going to be cruising during the summer, then that's not so bad. You'll probably find somewhere for the winter, or you could have it hauled out in the yard. So you've got to consider that. And then the other thing to consider is once you've found a mooring, brought your boat, how to transport it. Now, this isn't a sponsorship deal. I just think the guy was so fantastic. I'm going to give him a mention. Squirrel Marine Transportation. He was fantastic, and he moved my boat, which is 38 foot. I dare say he'd probably go up to 50 foot and probably slightly bigger. I'm sure he could find a way of doing that. But he arranges everything. He arranges with the police for the route, because this boat was so big it had to have a police permission and a route given out as to where he could go. Had to have a convoy vehicle in front to warn other road users it was coming. He dealt with all that. He dealt with both marinas, both ends, lifting out, putting back on the hard and stuff like that. Craneage. Brilliant guy. So you've got to consider that, where you buy the boat and how you get it to where you want it to be. Then you've got something else to consider. If you're going to go across the channel, you will need the minimum of an ICC, International Certificate of Competence. The EU are quite strict on that, so it's all right in British waters. Funnily enough, you don't need anything. Don't need a license or anything. You'll need insurance. That's something else. I use Yachtmaster. Again, it's not a sponsorship, it's just who I use. Yachtmaster Insurance, look them up. Dominic, I think the guy's name is. I've been with them since I was about 14 years old, so quite a good company, I would say. So you got your insurance, you got your marina, you got your boat. So you're set up now. The other thing to consider when you're buying a boat as well is what you're going to use it for. That dictates quite a bit as well. So you've got your boat, you've got somewhere to stay. Fantastic. You've seen how grey it is today. If you get seasick, if you get seasick easily, living aboard ain't going to be for you. This boat hasn't stopped rolling around, and it rolls around much worse on the mooring than it ever does out at sea, I can tell you. It hasn't stopped rolling around now for 3 days. Even I'm starting to get fed up with it. So, you know, consider that as well. Then there's things like ropes. I probably buy 2 sets of ropes every year or so, or have done. I'm now getting to the point where I can probably just buy another length of rope this year, and that will do me. I've got plenty in stock now, and I always buy the length of the boat. So I've got all my lines the length of the boat, and there's a good reason for that. It means that I can shoot from anywhere off the flybridge a line and somebody can grab it. It's no good having a 5-foot rope, is it, you know? Plus the fact I can tie a couple of lengths together and tow somebody back if I had to. I always over rope the boat, always buy ropes slightly bigger than I would need. I found that to be important over the years, and always buy good quality ropes. But you see, a good quality 30-foot rope from one of the chandleries around here, I was quoted 95 quid a couple of years ago. I didn't pay that because I use Bayside Marine, Dave up at Brixham. He's always been very good to me and given me a good discount. Check them out if you're in the area, they're pretty good. So there you go, really, guys. I'm not complaining. It's been a fantastic way of life, and I do miss it when I'm in the flat in Greece. But I think it's just getting more and more difficult for me to do what I want to do. I'm not overly happy where I am at the moment. Certain things have changed, and of course the latest storms. I mean, look at it. That is very mucky out there now. Can't even see through the windscreen. So yeah, sorry to try if it's put you off, but that's the cons. If you look down my videos, as I said before, you will find a few of the pros. There are some really good times to be had, but you know, buy at some speed and repent at your leisure. That's what I would say. So from a very grim and stormy River Dart, Gampton, I'll bid you farewell. Thanks for watching. If you fancy buying a 1981 38-foot Princess yacht made in Plymouth with 2 Ford Mermaid engines in, mechanically very sound, however it does need a retrim really. It's getting a little bit tired now. I'm looking for sort of 37,000, taken off at close to that. It comes with the dinghy and an outboard. Pretty much walk on it and away you go. I'll be taking all my personal stuff, my life jackets and things like that, but other than that, you know, I'm not going to be moving anything. It's got central heating, it's got a Chinese heater now instead of the air dispatcher. I found the Chinese heater was cheaper and, funnily enough, more reliable. So there you go. So yeah, if you want to buy a 38-foot Princess, comments below. I think you can probably get me. I think there's a web. I think my email is on the YouTube site. If not, just leave a comment. I always read the comments. And thank you for all the new subscribers. Welcome to Rudgy, aka the Doctor. Hopefully very shortly you'll be seeing some nice sunny pictures of Kefalonia. I hope this video has been useful to a few of you. If you'd like to ask some questions on the comments, I'll try and answer them if I can. You know, that could be from anything from how much it costs to buy a boat, how much it costs to keep the boat, etc, etc. I can only give you my personal opinion on that. Everybody's going to have a different view of it, but I can give you my journey, and like I say, you can go through my YouTube and see what that is and see if it suits your way of life. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. Hit like and subscribe.